So today is Sunday, November 26th, 2023. It's been a long time since I've done one of these. My old phone camera kind of went to shit, so it might be more than a year. But a lot has happened. You can see the mule shed in the background there. See all those rocks got pushed back. This turnaround has been opened up pretty nicely. You can see the little trail that goes into the woods there. It just comes back around right out there. I use that quite frequently, so I don't have to go out on the road to turn around. You can see it's gotten pretty clear. And that's my usual parking spot now. You can see the trailer in the background there, maybe. And then last, a year ago, October, I guess, we put up the mule shed. So there's the mule shed. This is put up October last year. Jeff and Lance helped me. You can see I put a lean-to on the side there, and the back wall is more of a lean-to than anything. Then here, I've got my wood chipper, got my snow thrower. I've got enough space to park the plow in here. And I've got some stuff hanging in there, some saw blades. And it's got a door, just a tarp on a stick that you can roll down. And we get over here, you kind of get the feel of the lean-to. So that is the mule shed. Continuing on down the trail, you can see the cabin coming into view there, and right there is that pile of lumber that I got from Seth's garage in Cokato. So there's the cabin coming into view. But before we get to the cabin, we're going to take a right turn. Take a look at the latrine in this area, which has been very cleaned out since last time. So we got a cover on the latrine. This is just so I don't have to shovel snow, but it is kind of nice to have a covered place to take care of business when, you know, it's inclement out. So that is the latrine. We don't know what that thing back there is. That thing, don't know what it is. And there you can see the trailer parked there. It'll probably live there for the winter. And spinning around, this is the trail back to camp. So heading into camp now. This little spot here has been opened up since then. You can see that it's opened up behind the cabin to the west, or I guess that'd be the east of the cabin. You can see the rain barrel there. You can see the new solar panel rack array, whatever you call that thing. Theoretically, it's supposed to be tall enough to keep the snow off, or steep enough. But there's the cabin. Loie came out last summer and helped me stain it. You can see the picnic table back there and the framework for the tarp I can put overhead. That's put away for the winter. But there's the cabin in all its glory. You can see how clean and cleared out it's gotten in camp. There's the cabin in all of its glory. Spend a lot of time in that thing in the wintertime. And here we have a close-up of the solar array. I put that up last summer. Building the rack itself wasn't the big challenge. The big challenge was getting the wire from the solar panels. You can see right down there, there's an electrical box. And I had to dig a trench. Goes all the way over to where you see the LP tanks. And then up the back of the cabin into the solar controller. So digging the trench and laying that wire was the big challenge. And the next addition, well, there the blue tarp is still covering that pile of cedar. The next addition is around this way. There's the mule. There's my tractor. That's broke. I haven't decided if I'm going to fix it yet or not. And there we have a woodshed that is really got very little wood in it. It's more of a tool shed for the time being, but ladders, propane, heaters, motor oil, nails, screws, you know, stuff you need. Saw blades for the sawmill, Granberg mill, shovels, rakes. You can see the ladder hanging on the left side. Charcoal grill, weed whacker. That's what it's used to clear out a lot of this property over the summer. You can see there's a little cut through there. I use that as like a little turnaround for the motorcycle so I don't have to back it up. But if we come back around, there's the back side of the solar panels and the cabin. Gas cans empty. Mule, dirt bike that Mike participated in the purchase with. Thank you, Mike. Dead tractor. And last but not least, a very depleted wood pile. We'll fix that. Okay, so moving on from the woodshed, continue on down the trail. Utah, by the way, is sleeping in the cabin right now. He's protesting the weather, I think. But going down the trail, this is that area that Lance and Jay camped. It's kind of turned into canoe and post hole digger, and you can see down on the bottom, you can see the tines for the harrow sticking out there. But I'd like to find a better place for that stuff. We're continuing on down the trail. This is what we call the line of the trail. I got to put those 2 logs away. Nothing really has happened up to the left. And then this is the lumber yard, sawmill yard. And here we have a brush pile. It's kind of an eyesore, but I don't know what else to do about it. Alright, I'm going to reset here, and then we can get some close-ups on the sawmilling area. Alright, coming into the Sawyer's area. So there's the mill. You can see that little device right there is a log arch that I've been using since the tractor died. The tractor still works, it just needs some repair work. Broken bracket on it, and the fan belt is gone. But here's the sawmill. I'm sure we've got videos of this before, but it's still here. My main goal on this trip was to get rid of that pile of logs that I got from that tree service in Shakopee. Mission completed. And then scanning over here, this is the latest edition. That is a Sawbuck to store slab wood to make it easier to chop into firewood when it gets full. And you can see behind there's a rack full of firewood sized slab wood. But there we go. The sawing center. And moving on from the sawing center, continue down this way. This is what I call Lance's shooting gallery. You can see targets all over the place. I put a bunch of them away for the winter. Don't forget the burn barrel. I went 3 days straight cleaning up the woods this trip. But you can see there's targets, more targets, and down here at the end we got the last target. And might not be completely obvious here, but there is a trail through there. I can get through it on the dirt bike, but it goes up to basically the end of that trail, where the Y goes to the left. And then, speaking of trails, if I don't get you too dizzy here, we'll come back around this way. And you can see those flags in the trees there. Another thing I did this trip is I marked out a trail along the southern property line, all the way back to the southeast corner. I made sure to stay north of the property line so as not to trespass on the neighbors or improve his property. But there should be a trail going that way now. From the shooting gallery, looking back towards the mill, I'm going to take a tour to the left, so right from and right you can see sawhorses I built. There's a small pile of logs right in front of us there. That'll be a mixture of firewood and maybe some sauna logs or rafters. This is what I call the lumber yard. These two piles here are largely what I did this week. Made a lot of D logs out of those logs I got from Shakopee. The D logs are up front to the left, and then moving back to the rear, those are all cants and maybe some 2x stuff in there. And if we roll around this way, there's another pile of cants that's been there for a while. I worked on that this summer. There's two 2x8 by 14 foot boards that are store-bought. I'm going to put them on the pile here just to keep them out of the weather. And if we come around this way, that is a pile of 4x4 boards, probably mostly junk. There's some good stuff in there, but as I cant up the logs, if I get a nice 4x4, I put it on that pile there. And before they end up on that pile, they generally end up on this pile. So some stuff I need to sort out there before I go home, but that is usually where the boards end up off the mill. And then getting back here, there's another pile of slabs that needs to be cut up. That's how I used to do it. That was the improved way after doing it straight off the pile, but that was just too hard. So that's why this sawbuck came into play. Enough of the lumberyard. Okay, so that's the tour for Sunday, November 26th. Here's just a pile of random logs. Most of it's just to be firewood, but that's where it gets collected there. I'd like to take care of that next weekend. And then this blue tarp here, those are 1-inch boards. Same thing. When I'm canting up logs, if I end up getting a decent board, and that's what I've gotten so far. On that tree, you can see a trail cam. There's my favorite brush pile again. And now we're walking back towards camp. And I think that should be a complete walking tour of the camp. And it should be interesting to compare this to the last one because I'm going to guess a lot has changed since then. So anyway, here we are back at camp. I think that's enough. Hopefully I don't wait so long before I do the next one. Over and out.